I'm going to invite Daniel Rowe on the stage in a moment, and he's the lead of the core team at Nuxt. And this is kind of like part one of Daniel's talk, because he's closing us out on day one, but he's also going to start us right back up tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. sharp. And I'm not quite sure what he's going to get into today. It could have something to do with WordPress or Twitter or WordPress and Twitter, or probably also something to do with Nuxt as well. But let's put our hands together for Daniel Rowe.
Well, thank you very much. It is a real pleasure to be here, and we don't have an ambitious target or anything in the 30 minutes that we have. My name is Daniel. I'm not exactly sure where Twitter came from, but I'm an open source maintainer, which is honestly the most amazing thing in the world from my point of view. I get to spend my time helping people out and building cool features. And one of the key things I do is maintain Nuxt, which you may have heard a little bit about today. But that's not the only thing. There are some other projects I'm involved with as well, including PageSpeed, which is a client for the core Web Vitals and Google Lighthouse scores. First commit.is, you can find your first commit on GitHub. Fontaine helps reduce layout shift. Magic Regexp is a way of writing type-safe regular expressions. And I will say, I keep on asking to do conference talks about like type-safe regular expressions, and no one ever seems interested. So just, private hurt, that's all. This is my cat, Barley. I was expecting some form of appreciation for Barley. This is not about me, this is about this cat, and she is extremely spoiled, and she would want to know how you feel about her. So I will let her know that there was not an initial clap, but then there was a very warm clap, and she will at that point simply settle into a normal pattern of interrupting me by sitting on my keyboard. I live in the UK, I live in Edinburgh, in Scotland, where I moved just in January of this last year, and I'm still loving the fact that there's people everywhere and coffee shops and amazing things. But I should probably get to some live coding, because otherwise I am probably in trouble. And I'm sure all of you want some form of after party, so I should probably get involved. So the aim is just to explore some of the things we can do with Nuxt. And do something like create a little CMS to rival Directus. Just a CMS. It's not going to rival Directus, let's be honest about that. Okay, so we're going to create a new project. We're going to call it Nuxt Pressable. Oh. Let's try that again. Oh, for goodness sake. Nuxi is the Nuxt CLI, and it just basically downloads a template. From our default templates, you can create your own, by the way. Any GitHub repo will do. If you wanted, you could just pass -t GitHub and then some URL, and it would clone that for you. So let's get started. So we have our plain empty Nuxt project. And I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to turn this into a Nuxt 4 patterned project. I'll talk a little bit about what's next for Nuxt, and that's going to include talking about Nuxt 4, but this is a migration. It's not a complex migration. Okay, we've migrated to Nuxt 4. I hope your own migrations are as straightforward as that. Now, when we run our Nuxi dev server, I'm going to make that just to the side. Here we go. When you start your dev server, you're going to see the contents of this app.view, and if I type something else, it's going to HMR load. Now, I want to create WordPress, so we're probably going to want to have a couple of different pages. So we will use view router. And if you want to use a router in Nuxt, you just create a pages directory and stick a file inside there. And then once you put that file inside there, I save as I type, by the way, so you'll see all kinds of weird errors when stuff doesn't pass. So if we want to put a file in there, index page, we then need to display where we're going to put that page in our basic app. So Okay, it's working. We have routing up and going. We have our index page. And because I don't want to spend all the time writing CSS, and also because I'm not very good at it, I'm just going to add a Pico CSS, which is a very, very straightforward little CSS library. And I'll enable that in our Nuxt config, and restart our dev server again. So this should now look a little bit more styled. It's dark mode, so that's maybe saving your eyesight. And we're just going to give a couple of classes. We'll make this a container. We will create a little nav bar at the top, and we should have, oh, thank you, this is perfect. Yeah, let's do that. We'll have a link to our home page, and then maybe a link to blog, I guess, and then a link to maybe a new post page. Does that sound like it might make sense? Cool. Let's refresh, and there we have got some little links. We don't have that page yet, so we'll just create it like this. Create new post. Boom. Okay, so we have routing working in our Nuxt project. And the next step is really to figure out where our CMS is going to be. And there are a lot of good choices in Nuxt. So, I mean, obviously, Directus is a good choice. Nuxt Content offers an integration with Markdown inside your Git repo. And there are a lot of other good ones as well. But just because I said we were going to build it from scratch, we might as well. Let's create a server route that's going to handle giving us all of the posts that we're going to display on our blog. So I'm just going to create a little API route here, and we'll call it maybe posts. And I've added this .get suffix to say I only want this to be a get endpoint. It's only ever going to return that. So we want to return some posts. Now, in Nuxt, we have a first-class concept of storage, KV storage, which you can access with a composable or a utility, I guess, called use storage. And that's going to have all kinds of useful utilities on it. So we could do something like post keys is going to be await storage get keys. And we can pass a prefix. So we're only interested in the keys that start with posts. And then we can also fetch all of the posts. So it's not quite right, Copilot. We're going to do get items post keys. And then we're going to return those. But we are going to want to map them because they contain key value pairs. So we're just going to want to return the value there. And so there you go. We have a handle. It's going to return all of our posts. And then if I were to go into our index page and access that, in Nuxt we can use our use fetch composable, which is going to enable me to access any API endpoint that we have created. There's a little weird VS Code bug right now, which affects all Vue projects. And after you open a Vue file, you have to restart VS Code to get any kind of type safety. It's a bit weird. But anyway, you'll see that we have type safety, type hinting for our API routes, which is pretty handy. And this is going to return our posts. So we could do something like article v4 post of posts. Well, actually, we can't really because we don't have any data coming back yet. So let's solve that. We need to be able to create new posts, and we also want to have a concept of a post in general. So I'm going to create a new directory, a shared directory. This is only available if you're in the version 4 compatibility mode, although you can create the directory even if not. And this is a good location for putting stuff that's going to be shared between your server backend and maybe your front end, your Vue code. And it's for sort of pure stuff, like defining what a post is going to be. So I'm going to stick this post file, and let's create Valibot. Anyone here use Valibot? It's a bit like Zod. Anyone here use Zod? Okay. Honestly, can I just take a moment to say how weird we are? You know, ever explained to anyone, oh yeah, today, yeah, I was going to use Valibot, but then I just decided, you know, probably this is better to do in Zod. We might as well have 3 heads and, yeah, okay. So we're going to import Valibot. And Valibot is just going to let me create a little schema that's going to let me do some validation on this is generally good practice. So we'll do post schema is This is very handy. Thank you very much. We're going to give it a slug, I think, maybe rather than a number. And we'll have maybe some body. And that looks good to me. So we'll export that. We'll export something like validate. And it's going to take some data. And then it's going to return a post, vParse, I think. Data, post, other way around. Post schema, data. Okay. And we're also going to export a type. So we'll create a type from this post schema. And it's not quite, it's infer input. There we go. So now we have a post type, which is exactly has the types we want. And we have a way of making sure that a post that we might receive and want to save in our database is correct. So we're now going to go ahead and use this and create a new endpoint. We'll actually use it here. So we're going to indicate that we're going to set should be a post if it's coming back. And that will actually mean we can do a little bit more interesting stuff here. So we could do something like key is post slug. So we've got some type safety. We might have let's make index page a header for a start. And then this would be a H2, and we'll say it's going to be post title. And then we might have, I think we might want HTML. So we'll say HTML is going to be a post body. There we go. Cool. So what we can then do is we need to create this handler that's going to let us create a new post. So we're going to create it here. We'll say posts new dot post. I feel there's a lot of posts going on in this project. Are you with me, by the way, still so far? Are you thinking about the after party? Oh, you're with me. I don't know. Well, anyway, we'll see. Okay, what do we need to do? We need to create a new post. So we need to make sure that what we're getting in from our create new post form is going to have some stuff in it. And Nuxt actually gives us a read validated body utility that's going to actually inspect the incoming event, check to see what the body is, and it's actually just going to make sure that it is going to be a post. So we created that little utility that takes some kind of unknown data and validates it. And so we can actually access it like this. We're going to say we want to get that body, that slug, and that title. And if it's not correct, it's going to throw an error. So just see what's going to happen, hopefully. If I post new, and I just hit that endpoint without anything. Ooh. Oh, should run our dev server. Let's hit that again. Okay. And yeah, we're getting a validation error that is quite fulsome. The stack is only in development, by the way, just to say. Okay, so hopefully we're going to get this data coming in, and we want to save it to the database. And this is not going to be too difficult. We can default to that key that I was talking about before. So it's sort of namespaced for us. And we can simply save it like this. Storage, set item, that's async. And we need a slug. And then we obviously need some content. So we'll set the title. We'll set the body. And then we'll set the author, maybe, to me. Or Daniel. And we also probably want some kind of created at date. So we'll do, yeah, that seems good. And so this actually means if we have an author and created at, we can update our post type and actually say that the posts that we're saving in the database are also going to include these extra fields. And we can just add some type safety here to say that we want to make sure that this thing that we're saving here is going to satisfy the post. Which is really helpful that we've done that because it's telling us we are omitting the slug. So we'll just add the slug in. There we go. So we're saving a post to the database. And then we just want to return, I think, probably null. And what that is going to do is send a 204 response to us. We don't really need the data coming back. We know what we've just put in. And so this should save us a post to the database. Okay, it would be nice to test that, but we probably need to create some code on the front end to let us see if it's working. So we have our heading for our create new post page, and we probably need some kind of form. Now, at this point, I'd really like to support some rich text. So I'm going to want to install a Nuxt module. So I'm going to use the dev tools to do that, but you could also do it in any number of other ways, including the CLI. So I'm going to look for TipTap. And this is quite a minimal module that just sort of takes care of auto-importing TipTap editor and extensions. And so that hopefully has just installed. Here's the Git repo. And basically, it just says you set it up, which is done for us by Nuxt. And then here's an example editor. And TipTap is known for being incredibly customizable. But I don't particularly want to customize it because I have 30 minutes. So I'm just going to create a little component. I'll call it TipTap editor. And because TipTap actually only works in the browser, I'm going to make this a client-only component so that I just don't even have to think about any conflicts. It actually works fine even if I don't, but I wanted to tell you about client-only components. So there we go. I've pasted the editor that exists, and if I use that in my new page, let's see, TipTap, yeah, you see all those auto-imported stuff coming in. So TipTap editor, there we go. Okay, so we've got our TipTap editor, and yeah, supports bold, italics. Okay, that's quite handy. But I think there's still an issue with the code that they've created, because I had a very quick look before coming up on stage. And that is it has no way of getting the data out. So we probably want to use Vue's amazing define model. So we're going to define a model for a prop coming in. And we want, it should be a string. And it should have some default content, which probably can be this. That's fine. And then we'll use that when we create our editor. And we also want to update it. So when people change things, so we want to do editor value. Oh, that was looking very promising. Yeah, great. Thank you, Copilot. This would be a lot more painful to live code, without my editor actually auto-completing everything I want. So handy when that happens, isn't it? Okay, so if we just want to check that it's working, we could do something like const HTML is hi, and then just bind that, so vmodel HTML. And then we could do something like, this is always handy, right, just to show what's coming back. So if I type, yeah, you see some HTML. It looks like it's working fine. Not sure what that reload was, but it seems to be working fine, right, as an editor. So probably good for us to actually create a couple of other items in the form. What else do we need to send in? Body, slug, and title. Okay, so we need a title. Title, and we'll give it a name, title. We have our HTML, and we just need a little button which says submit. We'll stick a little horizontal. I think it needs some kind of space, don't you? Maybe here. Looks a bit better. And that is really not very beautiful, but you'll forgive me, right? Okay, so we have our form. I really like handling form submit events, by the way, at the top level. So we can do something here rather than binding a click handler there, because there are lots of ways of submitting a form, including in some places just pressing enter in an input box. So we'll create an async function, add new post. It'll take an event, which is what will be a submit event, but we'll stick that there. And we'll also say this is required, for example. And this way we can also hook into that native form validation. And we'll get our form data just, again, using our basic form data. And now we need to stick that in the new posts method. So we'll just await. We have this $fetch utility in Nuxt that it works at the same way server and client side, but it also takes care of automatically stringifying your body and so on. That sounds like a very painful experience. I didn't rehearse that joke. Okay. Let's see. We have got. Oh, by the way, did you notice it knows it's a post endpoint? the method that is, not the fact that we're dealing with like a blog post. I also didn't rehearse that joke. Maybe I should have done that. Okay, and we want a title. Actually, I'll just extract it. We want a title, and we also want a slug, which we'll just create from the title, I think. Yep. And, oh, it could be a file, so we'll just convert it to a string. Okay, that looks about right to me. Oh, we'll have a little like loading state. Normally don't do Boolean loading states, but this is just slightly faster. And great. Oh. I've somehow lost. Okay, that seems fine, right? And then I think we can actually just pass the area busy value to the button. I think that is what Pico CSS uses to display a loading state. So if I were to then say, oh, and then maybe let's navigate to the home page so we can see if it worked. Anyone see any issues here? So we're adding a post, posting it in title body slug, and then in our home page, we display the title and the body. Let's add a little, we have got a little more data. So add an H group, and add like a little subtitle by post, got an author, right? On post, yeah, created that. So we'll create a new date and then convert that to a locale date string. By the way, normally if you're doing this, use something like Nuxt time, which will handle injecting this kind of content in a way which is safe if the server locale and the browser locale are different. In this case, I'm just wanting it to be fast. Okay, let's give that a go. Hey, Toronto. Isn't this cool? Okay, so we have just built Directus. Can I just say that was remarkably straightforward. I mean, it's if they had just come to me in the beginning, this would have been, okay, well, great, we have this. Now, only an issue, this is, our storage isn't going anywhere. It's just being stored in memory. So let's make it go somewhere. Now, for development, it probably makes sense that this could go in the file system. Oh, I edited this file, so now there is no data anymore. We're in trouble. So this is why we want it to persist. So we're going to set our storage. We're going to say our post storage should have should be in the file system. But you can see we have lots of other options in terms of where we might put it. And if I had a little bit longer, I would have shown you how to put it on GitHub. And we'll just say we're going to store this in a .posts directory, and we're going to add that to our getignore. Getignore. So it doesn't end up in our repo. And let's see, we should be able to run our dev server, and hopefully now, if we new testing, welcome to Toronto. I'll have a little. CMS should never do this, right? You should never be able to put an H1 in. Okay, H4. Oh, somehow it submitted itself, but it's working. And you can also see. We have this little posts folder, and we've got our welcome to Toronto, and you can see our JSON data in there. So now we've got persistent stuff. And if I kill the dev server and I restart the dev server, we're still going to have that post present. Well, that's great. Now, how much time do we have? We've got a couple minutes. We should add some auth, right? Let's just authenticate this. So we're going to add a new module. We're going to use Nuxt auth utils, which is maintained by Sebastian, who originally created Nuxt. There we go. It's installed. And we should just quickly fire up the docs, see how it works. OK, so basically, we need to have this password. I'm very much hoping that it's just done that for us. Yeah, it's created that for us. Great. And we also need to, we want to implement OAuth authentication. So we need to create a couple of variables. This is how Nuxt passes in runtime configuration. So configuration that might change after you build your site. So we're going to use GitHub because it is very fast. And we need a client ID and client secret. And these are conveniently here, which we'll copy and paste and pop into our .env file. And I'm going to quickly go and create those. So that's going to be up here, settings, developer settings, OAuth apps. Let's create a new one. We'll call it Nuxt Pressable. We'll give it my application website. And we need a convenient. OK, we'll use this. So /auth/GitHub. And there we go. We've created our app. We have a client ID. And we can create a client secret like this. And copy it. There we go. OK, so we've created. Oh, what's the matter with that? I think, I killed the dev server. By the way, that's so vicious, isn't it? OK, so we need our auth utils documentation again, because I think we want an example of how we set up the auth. OK, so this is it. That's how you would set up GitHub auth. So we're going to create a server root. In this case, we won't start it with API, but we could. It really doesn't matter where we do it. But we said it would be auth GitHub. And so we'll create that file and paste that in. And this gives an example of setting a user ID, but I think we also want to set like a name and maybe an email. And we can specify, I think, also that we have a specific scope we want from GitHub, which is user email, so that it flows through. And basically, this just specifies like what is going to handle the return from GitHub. When GitHub sends back a code, and then you can then use that code to fetch the data from the user, and so on. And this just makes that a lot simpler. So this looks like it might work. Let's add some more auth, some more link in the header. So we'll want a little link to the beginning of our auth flow. And we'll call this login. And we'll mark it as an external link, because we don't want it to be handled by view router. This is we want a totally fresh browser request to the server. We have to restart it. Cool. We have a login. Let's give that a try. OK. Here we are. Nuxt Pressable wants to access my account. Go ahead. OK. Well, we've come back. Are we logged in? We can actually use a little utility that's exposed by Nuxt auth utils. Oops, I think not. Called use user session. And what I want to know is, am I logged in? I also want to log out. So here we'll say, let's say, I'll put it here. V if logged in. Oh, not logged in, I guess. Well, we know it's working because we're gone now. And if we are logged in, so we'll say else. If we are logged in, we'll use a button, and we will clear the login state. So, and we should call it logout, right? Cool. So log out, log in, done. OK, it's quite handy. But we actually want to implement some kind of protection. So in Nuxt, you have the concept of middleware. And so we're going to create a logged-in middleware. And this is basically just going, it's a navigation guard in view router terms. So we're going to say, let's see, logged in, use user session. If not logged in dot value. Return navigate to our home page. Great. And we can then apply this middleware to our new post page. Actually, just say this page should be get some type safety there. This is a logged in page. So I should be able to go to the new page now, but if I log out, I shouldn't. Ooh. I shouldn't be able to go there. Why is that? Oh, I think it's just an HMR thing. I can't click it anymore, and if I go directly to it, it actually doesn't work either. So that's working fine, actually. Thank goodness. And probably for a better user experience, I only want to display this if I am logged in, right? So I'll log in again. And now we actually probably want to do something cool. And that is, up to now, I'm sorry, it's been very, very boring. Which is we probably want to use it in our server root as well. So we want to do something like user is get user session. And this is a server utility. And so I think it would just be session. And what we want to do is, if not session user, we will actually throw a validation error. We're going to say not logged in, and we'll send a status back. So if I hit that endpoint, I should now get an error because there's no login state. And now we can actually do something like access the author from our user state. So we want to access this user name. Now, it's right that it's throwing us this little red squiggly because we actually haven't in any way told TypeScript that this exists. So we're just going to very, very quickly type it for us using this handy snippet. I love docs with copy-pastable stuff, don't you? So we're just going to stick this down here and say that our user should have, what did we put under? A name, an email, and a GitHub. Is that how we do it? No, this. GitHub ID, and that's also a string. And you see how we got some type safety there. And now we're also going to get type safety here because we know what that user is going to look like. It's going to have those properties on it. So hey, we should now be able. Oh, it's a pain because I think we can still give it a try. Let's see. So here we are, logged in. Let's create a new post. This is by an authenticated user. We'll stick a little bit of code. Ooh. Oh, it's because those are buttons. And so clicking them is submitting the form. That's a very annoying thing about forms, right? That any button in a form becomes the submit button of the form. So forgive my basic HTML forgetfulness. But basically, we see our post has been created. And it's read that Daniel row this time from my user state, my authenticated user state, not just from being hard-coded. OK. Well, I thought we have got time, but actually the timer switched to counting up. That's not a good sign, is it? Or it could just mean that there's no time limit now. It's gone into infinite time. That would be very interesting. The power is mine. Well, I probably should stop because I think we've basically gotten there, right? So we've built a CMS. It's rudimentary, but it's using unstorage under the hood, which means we can use the file system, but we could also use a database. You could use KV. If you were deploying this to Cloudflare, you could use Cloudflare KV and host it all with your KV storage right in the same location as your function. If you wanted to do something like that, by the way, what we would probably do is say, this is quite handy for development. So we're going to wrap this in a development key like this. That way, we have this persistent storage locally on file system. But what we could do is then in production, we could say what we're going to do is use Cloudflare KV binding or Cloudflare KV HTTP. And I'll leave it to you to look up the config for that. In unstorage, you can see some of the different drivers. and how you would configure them, whether that's Azure or Cloudflare or even GitHub or Netlify Blob or PlanetScale over Cell or whatever it is. But that's a relatively straightforward thing to do, and it doesn't affect my code at all, because my code is based purely in a very abstract way on a storage set item, get keys kind of thing. And it works in any situation, in any of those different drivers. So we've created a CMS, we've implemented authentication, and we have a website which displays posts. So if for any reason anyone was looking for a few steps to build your own your own WordPress-like site, you would be able to do that, I hope. Well, I'm going to come back and talk again tomorrow, so sorry about that if you were looking forward to the end of the talk. But if you do want to know more about any of those things, feel free to check out Nuxt.com. Follow Nuxt on Blue Sky. I'm also on Blue Sky. You can DM me or ask any question. I'd be delighted, or grab me over coffee. But thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you enjoyed this first day as much as I did. And looking forward to seeing you at the after party. Thank you.